Transmite en su canal de frecuencia modulada estereofónica multiplex La Voz Radio desde New Haven, Connecticut, al mundo.
Buenas tardes, están escuchando a Juntos Podemos, Together We Can. My name is Caprice Taylor Mendez. Thank you for joining us today at 103.5 FM, La Voz Radio. And you can also find us on Facebook Live, La Voz Hispana CT. And today I have with us, it is my honor and pleasure to have with us Mark Corville. You're hearing the sounds of a recording from Kings Bay Plowshares. There was a 7 guilty verdict on October 2019. Not that long ago, Mark Corville risks imprisonment to do the right thing, to try to save humanity from the threats that we are facing with nuclear weapons, including those here in the United States, in Connecticut. Tenemos con nosotros, es mi privilegio y honor en introducirlos a Mark Corville, un activista contra bombas nucleares, y estamos escuchando las voces de personas cantando después de un juzgado concluyó que puede ser encarcelado Mark Corville con 6 otros miembros de nuestra comunidad de los Estados Unidos que llegaron acá a Connecticut para desarmar las bombas nucleares que se encuentran aquí en Connecticut. Y tenemos con nosotros Mark Corville. Esta canción es una canción religiosa. Fue filmado en octubre de 2019 y el caso todavía sigue pendiente para Mark Corville. Tenemos suerte de que lo dejaron salir de la cárcel mientras terminan el juzgado de este caso. Pues no quiero tomar el tiempo porque quisiera escuchar directamente de Mark Corville de New Haven. Ha trabajado mucho para la comunidad de inmigrantes, la comunidad latina, y antes de todo quisiera decir gracias, Mark, por todos los sacrificios a nivel personal que has hecho por décadas con Catholic Workers House, ubicado en New Haven. Yo conozco muchas personas quienes les has dado un hogar, especialmente a familias inmigrantes, y es un gran labor. Y ahora, para también tomar en cuenta que has sacrificado hasta mucho más para la humanidad, no solamente para nuestra comunidad de inmigrantes, pero también para la humanidad en este planeta. Y quisiera escuchar un poco más sobre eso. And before we start, I just want to say thank you for your many years and decades of personal sacrifice on behalf of the immigrant community. Catholic Workers House, I know of people who found safety in a home when they needed it, due to all of the personal sacrifice that you have done. And then you've actually then stepped it up a huge notch as well on behalf of all humanity to sacrifice potentially your own freedom and liberation to save humanity from nuclear destruction. It's not a light thing. And so I don't want to take up more time, but I'd love to just say thank you. And you will never hear enough of that in this lifetime for all that you have done. And so October 2019, there was a guilty verdict and the verdict was 7 of you were noted as guilty. Can you say more about this? Give us the story.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Caprice, for having me here on the show. It's a great show, and I'm honored to be here. I also would ask the forgiveness for all the Spanish-speaking listeners out there. Many of you know I do speak Spanish, but when it comes to subjects like this, I would probably not be nearly as clear in my speaking as I can in English.
Y Mark pide las disculpas por no comunicarse en español porque es un tema bien complejo y prefiere comunicarse en inglés para poder tener fuerte el mensaje y el entendimiento. Entonces yo voy a traducir para Mark durante esta entrevista.
Thank you. And also I appreciate the fact that in your introduction you mentioned the neighborhood work that I'm involved in. I'm just part of a collective called the Amistad Catholic Worker, which is about a mile or two from here in the Hill, and it's a house of hospitality from which we engage in the daily practice of the works of mercy. I'm glad that you mentioned that because in my mind, in my spirit, and in my heart, I felt that going to Kings Bay and making a statement about the immorality of nuclear weapons and the fact that they are a theft from the poor throughout the world. There's a direct connection between that understanding and the table at which I sit every day and share food with neighbors and friends. So
Mark agradece que mencioné Amistad Catholic Workers House, que está ubicado aquí en New Haven, en The Hill, que es una casa de hospitalidad y misericordia. Y él ve una fuerte conexión con la protesta, la demostración, la iniciativa que él es parte para desarmar nuestro mundo de bombas nucleares. Él viajó hacia California, Kings Bay. Kings Bay
it's in Georgia.
En Georgia, el estado de Georgia, Kings Bay, y ve la conexión de tener armas nucleares que todos esos fondos roban de los pobres a nivel mundial, y ve la conexión directa con el labor en Amistad Catholic Worker House, y de ahí con lo que está el asunto de las bombas nucleares.
Yes, and so the action that I was involved in, along with 6 other white Roman Catholics from the United States, it was called a Plowshares Action. And the Plowshares is a movement that began in 1980, and the purpose of it is to bring about disarmament, first of all, nuclear disarmament of all nations, beginning with the United States, because the United States is the only nation that possesses first strike nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert. In other words, we are the only nation in the world that has not renounced the strategy of using nuclear weapons first. We are the leaders of the worldwide arms trade and arms race. And when it comes to nuclear weapons, we have brought the world to the brink of destruction. And that's where we stand right now as we speak. The threat of nuclear war happening in the world today is greater than it's ever been, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, which is a collection of scientists. This is not a political organization. This is an organization of scientists that try to determine how dangerous the nuclear threat is. And they've determined that right now we are closer to initiating nuclear war than we've ever been since we started developing nuclear weapons.
And what is this about the clock? I heard about a clock.
Yes, that's the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists uses something called the doomsday clock. And essentially what they're saying is when it gets to midnight, that's when nuclear war happens and the world ends. According to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, we are less than a minute to midnight. And in fact, just between the time that you called me for this interview a couple of weeks ago and today, we've actually gotten closer to total nuclear annihilation. And that's because of the Trump administration deploying what they call a low-yield nuclear missile on the submarines at Kings Bay that we addressed with our action. And this low-yield nuclear weapon is it's designed to be a quote-unquote usable nuclear weapon. They make the power of the blast lesser than some of the more powerful nuclear weapons, so that strategically it becomes thinkable to use these weapons. These weapons are now these low-yield missiles are now being deployed on the Trident submarines that are kept at Kings Bay, and are sailing all over the world, throughout all the oceans of the world. And so these weapons now have brought us even closer to nuclear war. The Plowshares movement tries to address that by symbolically disarming these weapons. And what I mean by that is, it actually comes from the Bible. The book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 4. There's a prophecy from the prophet Isaiah where he says that nations will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. One nation shall not raise the sword against another, nor shall they train for war again. That's quoting the scripture, that Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. And basically what that means is that it's the prophet Isaiah foreseeing a time when weapons of war will be turned into farming implements. And so the point of the Plowshares movement is to symbolically begin that process. In other words, we've come to the conclusion that nuclear weapons are immoral. They're illegal according to the Constitution of our country as well as international law, and they have no right to exist. And since nations, particularly the United States empire, has proven itself to be totally incapable of disarming these weapons and renouncing them, that it becomes the responsibility and the right of citizens in a democracy to do that on their own. And so we take obviously great personal risk in going on to these bases and addressing these weapons. Typically we bring symbols, we use the symbol of a hammer, which comes right from the prophecy, hammering swords into plowshares. And so we take household hammers, we get as close to the weapons as we can. In some cases we get to the weapons themselves, or the delivery systems of them. And we hammer with these hammers on the weapons. We also use blood, our own safely drawn blood, in order to bring to light what is in the darkness, basically the blood that is shed not only by the use of these weapons, but by the possession of them. Because, as I said before, the nuclear weapons are a direct theft from the poor. And so the blood is already shed before these weapons are even used, because they impoverish 3/5 of the planet. They make simple human rights like health care for everybody in this country, they make it unattainable. Our military budget, by the way, is $750 billion this year, and it's supposed to go up in the coming fiscal year by another couple $100 billion. And so that includes a major increase in the development of more nuclear weapons.
And I'll translate all of this. Thank you so
Sorry
much for being
going
here
on
with
so
us.
long.
No, that this was very insightful. De que hay un movimiento que fue creado en 1980 que se llama Plowshares, que viene de la Biblia, el profeta Esea capítulo 2, verso 4, que habla de una profecía donde la espada y las herramientas para guerra van a cambiar a ser herramientas de cosecha con un martillo. Y 7 personas católicos, quiere decir 6 personas más, con Mark fueron a Georgia para tomar la responsabilidad y el poder de eliminar bombas nucleares en este planeta. Creen que por fe, que si el gobierno de los Estados Unidos no hace suficiente los pasos de desarmamento nuclear, es el derecho y la responsabilidad de los ciudadanos a desarmar al país. Y es bien importante tomar en cuenta que los Estados Unidos es el único país a nivel internacional que no ha renunciado el uso como un primer paso en guerra, el uso de bombas nucleares. Es el único que no lo ha renunciado. Es decir, este país nos trae poder tener una castrofía nuclear, una guerra nuclear, por no firmar esa póliza renunciamiento del uso de armas nucleares. Y también hay un boletín científicos a nivel internacional. Tienen un boletín que se llama Científicos Atómicos. Y toman en cuenta, estudian el estatus del uso de energía nuclear a nivel global, y también tienen un reloj que toma el tiempo, y si el reloj suena a medianoche, si la hora es medianoche, es decir que significa una guerra nuclear. Y en este mes se determinaron de que estamos más cerca a una guerra nuclear por las acciones de esta administración acá de los Estados Unidos, la administración de Trump, que ha tomado pasos que incluyen la creación de bombas nucleares que lo nombran de bajo potencia y lo están alistando para el uso, pensando de que la energía de estas bombas nucleares son más bajas, que quieren ver si los pueden utilizar con más frecuencia, porque las otras bombas tradicionales pueden en un solo matar a todos que están vivos en este planeta, y quieren tener listos al uso de bajo potencia. Can you explain to us this low-grade nuclear bombs? What is the capacity to destroy life on Earth, even though they're calling them low-grade?
Well, it's important to understand that nuclear weapons are poison. Radiation is poison. Uranium, which is mined for the purpose of making nuclear weapons, it's all poison, and it cannot be made inert. It renders the planet uninhabitable at some point. The waste that comes from the development of these weapons, it's a major issue in this world because we have no place to store it. The storage that we've attempted up to now has basically been to bury it underground in various places like Yucca Mountain and other remote places in the country. but those sites are all leaking radiation. We can't put it into space because of the risk of launching it into space and having it blow up in the atmosphere. That would kill everybody. There is no plan for cleaning this up, and it's just making the world. I mean, it's increasing. Cancer is an epidemic in this country and in the world. Anyway, these weapons are poison to begin with. When we're talking about low-yield nuclear weapons, that's a strategic military plan that we've had nuclear weapons now since 1944. We use them. We're the only nation in the world to ever have used them on a civilian population, on any population, in 1945. And we have made weapons now that could destroy the world several times over. For many, many years, there have been warlike elements in our government that have tried to initiate nuclear war. Some of it is connected to evangelical religion, evangelical Christianity, which is there's a crazy theology out there originating with evangelicals, that basically says that the end of the world, nuclear war, would be desirable because it will bring the second coming of Christ. It's a bizarre kind of theology, which none of us really want to talk about it these days, but it is actually the theology that is motivating the White House at the present time, which is why the Nuclear Bulletin of Atomic Scientists are saying that we're so close to nuclear war now. And so the low-yield nuclear weapons are designed to be used, whereas the bigger weapons, in most presidential administrations, they don't consider using them. They just use them as a threat. But detonating them is kind of out of the question because we would kill ourselves as well as everybody else. But these low-yield nuclear weapons are designed to be used in the battlefield. And again, we have no way of containing the poison that is released, no matter how low or high yield the weapon is. And yet that is what is being planned now with the deployment of these low-yield nuclear weapons.
Y la pregunta fue de ¿qué es la diferencia de una bomba nuclear de baja potencia en comparación con las tradicionales? Y hemos tenido bombas nucleares desde 1944, dice Mark, y el uso no se ha usado porque se reconoce que puede causar grande daño, que la radiación es un veneno para el planeta y todo de lo que está vivo, y también cuando se crea las bombas nucleares se usa uranio, que también es un veneno, y no tenemos una manera segura de guardar y limitar el veneno de los desechos, el proceso de la creación de bombas nucleares o energía nuclear. El uranio, que es un desecho de la creación de energía nuclear, no tenemos una manera saludable de guardarlo. Y lamentablemente causa daño, incluyendo acá en los Estados Unidos existe una epidemia cancerosa, y es también por parte de contaminación en el agua, en el ambiente, y es venenoso para los seres humanos y toda la creación. Y Mark explicó de que hay por el momento la administración está escuchando a un partido que también tiene fuerzas evangélicas presentes, pero mi opinión es de que la utilización de religión para hacer cosas malas es político y no tiene nada que ver con espiritual, ni refleja los practicantes de ciertas religiones. And so my belief is, you could say evangelical or Catholic, but oftentimes if a religion is used for political purposes, it really does not reflect the actual spiritual practices of the people.
Yes.
So that not all evangelicals believe that, I'm sure.
Certainly not.
And so the important part is there's a movement now to try to undo the harm of the nuclear weapons. And thank you for bringing to light the 750 billion is our military budget. And it's stealing away from healthcare for all and all those necessities for quality of life. De que Mark también explicó de que el presupuesto militar de los Estados Unidos está a 3/4 de $1 trillón. Trillones de dólares. Y de ahí, por un año, es el presupuesto de un año militar. 3/4 de $1 trillón acá en los Estados Unidos, y está quitando fondos para salud pública, para transporte, para las escuelas públicas, para todo lo necesario, incluyendo viviendas que necesitamos aquí para sobrevivir en los Estados Unidos. Y de ahí la lucha continua. Vamos a regresar con Mark después de esta breve pausa, y no se lo pierdan. We'll be back with Mark Corville, an activist with Kings Bay Plowshare, as well as a volunteer hard worker at Amistad Catholic Worker in the Hill. And we'll be back after this short break.
Again I say rejoice. Do you want me to help you hold anything? Lord, always again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. Again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice.
Prepárense para obtener su licencia de conducir en Connecticut. Ahora en New Haven, preparamos a personas indocumentadas y documentadas. Las clases son de 8 horas obligatorias por el Departamento de Motores y Vehículos. Y estas clases incluyen drogas y alcohol y técnicas para manejar de manera segura. Estas clases también incluyen un manual para el estudio para pasar el examen escrito y 100 preguntas que posiblemente estén en el examen. ¿Por qué? Porque a nosotros nos interesa que usted pase el examen a la primera vez que lo tome. 51 de Elm Street, Suite 307, tercer piso, New Haven, Connecticut, código postal 06510. El número de teléfono 203-376-0864 o el 203-907-0361. Las clases son miércoles y jueves. Estamos certificados por el Departamento de Motores y Vehículos DMV del estado de Connecticut. Ahora es el tiempo y el momento.
Hola, soy Caprice Taylor Méndez y te invito a escuchar en La Voz Radio 103.5 FM y también en vivo por Facebook y Twitter y YouTube en La Voz Hispana CT. Todos los lunes de 3 a 4 p.m. Juntos Podemos, Together We Can, a donde hablaremos con y sobre esfuerzos que mejoran nuestra comunidad, creando un mundo mejor.
El exoplaneta más caliente conocido es tan cálido que destruye sus propias moléculas. Este es tu mundo verde. Keut 9b, el exoplaneta gigante, es más caliente que algunas estrellas, alcanzando más de 7.000 grados Celsius en su superficie. Sin embargo, de alguna manera tiene una atmósfera. Un nuevo estudio que utiliza datos del telescopio espacial Spitzer de la NASA ha revelado que las moléculas en su atmósfera se hacen pedazos constantemente. El exoplaneta fue descubierto inicialmente en 2017 por astrónomos utilizando el proyecto Kilodegree Extreme Little Telescope, que combina el poder de observación de 2 telescopios robóticos en Sudáfrica y el sur de Arizona. Se trata de un fenómeno que los astrónomos llaman en Júpiter ultracaliente. Los Júpiter calientes fueron algunos de los primeros exoplanetas que se descubrieron. Aunque están en órbitas demasiado cercanas a sus estrellas para soportar la vida en la superficie del planeta, estos intrigantes gigantes gaseosos son diferentes a cualquier planeta de nuestro sistema solar. Por eso KELT 9b es una rareza, incluso en su propia clase de exoplanetas. Está en la constelación de Cygnus, orbitando una estrella a 670 años luz de la Tierra. Registra 3 veces la masa de Júpiter y está tan cerca de su estrella KELT 9 que completa una órbita a su alrededor cada 1,5 días terrestres. Marisabel Houston, CNN, Atlanta.
WNHH 103.5, la voz hispana de Connecticut.
Buenas tardes, aquí estamos con Mark Corville. We are here with Mark Corville, and he was sentenced, already served 15 months in prison for anti-nuclear protesting. Mark ya sirvió 15 meses en una cárcel en el condado de Georgia, de Brunswick, Georgia, y por el momento está libre mientras está esperando la sentencia para saber cuánto tiempo en total va a tener que servir en la cárcel. Thank you so much for spending this precious time with us. You already served 15 months in Glenn County, Brunswick, Georgia prison, and we're still waiting to hear how much longer you may have to serve. As you supported all of humanity and bringing to light the actual threat to our existence. And there's a lot of power here in the United States to create more peace in this world, and having the U.S. Take full responsibility in renouncing the use of nuclear weapons as it's one of its first options in a war. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you clearly stated how we're moving away from renouncing the use of nuclear weapons, but trying to facilitate the actual usage of nuclear weapons, going in the complete opposite direction, which is why the atomic scientist with a doomsday clock has said we are 1 minute from midnight. Yes. Y Mark explicó de que los científicos que vigilan el uso de energía atómica dicen de que estamos menos de 1 minuto de medianoche del reloj del fin del mundo, tomando en cuenta que la administración, en lugar de denunciar el uso de bombas nucleares como uno de los primeros pasos de guerra, se le ha pedido al gobierno de los Estados Unidos que haga eso, y es el único país que no ha denunciado el uso de bombas nucleares. En lugar de hacer eso, están yendo a la dirección opuesta, creando bombas nucleares de bajo potencia que todavía envenenan alrededor y pueden causar daño por muchas décadas. Están creando estos bombas nucleares de bajo potencia para poder facilitar el uso entonces están yendo en la dirección opuesta para crear paz en este mundo. Y Mark ha tomado responsabilidad como un ciudadano de los Estados Unidos para traer a luz la necesidad de desarmar nuestro departamento militar de estas armas nucleares. Y también tengo un dato aquí de que la propuesta de este año 2020 de Pentagon están buscando 700.4 billones de dólares para el presupuesto militar, incluyendo aumento para aumentar el presupuesto para bombas nucleares. And so I have here that in 2020, Pentagon requested an increase in their military budget, seeking $705.4 billion, including boosting the for nuclear weapons. And meanwhile, we don't have health care for all. We're sorely lacking in affordable housing and many issues that those dollars could really get put to good use. And simultaneously, we have the Trump administration seeking to reduce SNAP, the food from low-income people. So somebody's getting rich, I'm sure, with the construction of nuclear weapons. And so can you state with us a little more, because I really want people to understand the legal implications that you made a conscious choice to what you stated is do a legal act. To protest is legal in this country still.
Yes.
And you wanting to highlight that in your mind, the construction of nuclear weapons should be illegal.
It is, in fact, illegal. In fact, I should mention that we did this action, and we did not try to evade arrest. We awaited arrest. When the action was finished, we sat and waited for about 40 minutes until we were arrested. We did that because we wanted to go to court. We believed that what we did was legal. That the laws in this country outlaw. First of all, they outlaw war, but they outlaw nuclear weapons. Plainly outlaw nuclear weapons. We were prepared to prove that in court. The problem is that in the federal court system, they never allow the legality of nuclear weapons to be addressed. Okay, I'll give you a quick example. If you were walking down the street in your neighborhood and you saw an apartment building was on fire and it had a no trespassing sign on it, you would run into that building to save children, as I would. And it would be ridiculous to prosecute you for trespassing, right? Well, we were convicted of trespassing. We were convicted of destruction of government property, conspiracy, and destruction of property on a naval base. There were 3 felonies and a misdemeanor that we were convicted of. And yet these weapons are still sitting there right in the middle of Georgia, right in the middle of where people live, threatening the entire world with death in a half an hour. We were prepared. We brought video cameras with us and filmed the whole action. In other words, we never were trying to do this in secret or anything. We decided to place ourselves in a position of risk with regard to the law, in order to prove that the government is acting criminally. Okay, so it's not that we didn't break the law. We went there to try to uphold the law, and that's why, because we have a government that for 75 years now has not respected the law. Nobody has ever voted for a nuclear weapon. Nobody has ever been even apprised of this policy. It's all been done in secret. The whole nuclear weapons program is done in secret. It's never acknowledged. If you have the stomach for watching the presidential primary debates, never a question about nuclear weapons or war, for that matter. And there's a reason for that, because the government is not adhering to the law, and that's why we can't feed our own people anymore. You mentioned the SNAP, and I'm aware of that is once again being cut. We've been doing our ministry in the Hill here for 26 years now, and I remember up until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago that you could always tell when it was the beginning of the month or the end of the month, because at the beginning of the month everybody got their checks, their assistance checks, and so we'd have smaller crowds at our meals. And now you can't tell. It's our place is packed every day. It doesn't change from the beginning of the month to the end, and that's because we've dismantled the safety net that people depend on in this country, that poor people depend on, and working people, by the way.
Thank you for this information. It really brings it home. As we increase military aid, decreasing the safety net for families here in the United States. I'll just translate for a second. El proceso legal, los 7 que fueron arrestados lo hicieron todo para que el público vean las acciones. Nada fue hecho a las escondidas. Deseaban hacer una grabación de video para que todos los puedan ver, y lo que querían hacer era tener una discusión pública sobre las acciones ilegales punto de vista del grupo. And how your group, are you calling yourselves King Bay Plowshare Group?
Kings Bay Plowshares.
El grupo que se llama Kings Bay Plowshares. El punto de vista de ellos es de que el gobierno de los Estados Unidos está actuando de una manera ilegal. La protesta es legal y la creación de bombas nucleares es ilegal. El punto de vista del grupo, y quisieran tener esta discusión dentro de la Corte Federal. Y por eso también hicieron acciones fuera del estado de residencia. And that's why it also entailed a national protest to go into the federal court system.
Correct, yeah.
Y por eso coordinaron con personas a nivel nacional. Llegaron personas de diferentes estados para tener esta discusión con la Corte Federal. Y querían llamar atención de que el programa de la construcción de bombas nucleares siempre se ha hecho en secreto. Nunca ha habido una discusión pública, nunca ha habido la opción de votantes, de ciudadanos aquí de los Estados Unidos a votar o elegir si deben de tener bombas nucleares o no. Y durante este tiempo, mientras está aumentando la construcción de bombas nucleares, más también aumenta el riesgo para la población a nivel global, también se está disminuyendo los recursos para el bienestar de nuestra comunidad. Mark ha trabajado más o menos 26 años en nuestro vecindario aquí, The Hill. Y ha visto cuando dan comida, se notaba hace 6 o 7 años atrás, cuando era el principio del mes, donde las personas tenían asistencia para comida del gobierno federal, y el fin del mes se miraba la diferencia cuando las filas eran más largas. Y ahora, hoy en día, no se ve ninguna diferencia entre el fin del mes o el principio del mes, porque las necesidades en nuestra comunidad han aumentado. Y lamentablemente los recursos existen, el gobierno tiene recursos, pero se están yendo para aumentar el presupuesto militar en lugar de apoyar a la comunidad. And it's sad to see how we do have billions of dollars, and instead of investing in supporting the well-being of our community, it's going into the military. And so we have a few minutes left. When do you find out that you're sentencing?
We expect to be sentenced sometime in March.
And what are the probabilities?
Well, the government does a report on each of us individually before sentencing, along with an indication of what the guidelines for sentencing should be. At this point, they want to sentence me to up to 27 months in prison. But we don't know. The judge has discretion as to how to sentence us. And I plan to make a direct appeal at my sentencing to the judge to admonish her, her name is Wood, Judge Wood, for the way that she applied the law in the trial did not permit the jury to hear the truth or to hear even the facts of the case, which we believe would have moved a jury to find us not guilty. But because our defenses were essentially excluded, we were found guilty. I believe that the judge has acted irresponsibly in once again sealing nuclear weapons off from legal scrutiny. The law, still in this country, the law does not address nuclear weapons. And until the federal courts do, we're all, almost at midnight in terms of the planet's survival.
Que lamentablemente la estrategia para tener una discusión, un discurso a nivel federal en una corte federal fue limitada porque él no está de acuerdo con la aplicación de la ley de la jueza Wood, que es la jueza que estaba supervisando este caso, y ella no dejó que los quienes son acusados que tengan un testimonio, y prohibieron el testimonio de los acusados, y de ahí el jurado no pudo escuchar los detalles, especialmente sobre la importancia de lo que quisieran hacer contra las bombas nucleares. Y él dice, fue de nuevo otro ejemplo en cómo este gobierno bloquea la información al público sobre la situación nuclear en este país. Y ellos fueron juzgados con 3 delitos y un delito menor. Y más que todo son acusados de entrar sin derecho a la propiedad donde se encuentran las bombas nucleares en Georgia. Y de allí Mark explicó, lo que hicieron no era ilegal. Tienen todo el derecho en este país de hacer una protesta legal. Y tanto de que esperaron 40 minutos a que llegue la policía. Ellos hicieron su protesta y esperaron unos 40 minutos para que llegue la policía, y más que todo querían traer a luz el mensaje de que este país está más cerca, más que nunca, al uso nuclear, que va a destruir el medio ambiente y la salud de todos en este mundo. Y yo quiero decir las gracias a Mark, porque en marzo vas a ver si va a tener que pasar más tiempo en prisión. Está esperando por lo menos una sentencia de 26 meses más 26 months more, you said?
27.
27 meses más detrás la cárcel, y todo para apoyar al bienestar de el mundo. And I just want to say thank you so much as you wait your sentence in March, which is coming up pretty fast. And 27 months is a long time away from loved ones, away from family. And for all those who are listening, I am sure that we, as well as myself, have it in our hearts. And thank you for this personal sacrifice that you're making and your family is making in your community, because you will be missed at Amistad Catholic Workers in the Hill. And in the meantime, thank you. And every day that you see the sun rise and you feel rain on your face, it is us thanking you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Y que con todo corazón, mil gracias, Mark, por apoyar a todos, toda la comunidad de inmigrantes, todos los residentes de el vecindario de Hill, aquí de New Haven, y también a nivel global. Y mientras esperas la sentencia en marzo, cada vez que ves el sol o sentís la lluvia en tu cara, es nosotros, el mundo, diciendo gracias, Mark.
Muchas gracias.
Y ojalá que ese tiempo de 27 meses pase bien rápido, pero en ese tiempo que estés ahí rezando, meditando, sintas el agradecimiento profundo de todos nosotros. Y gracias por compartir este mensaje tan importante para el público. Y por eso es importante mantenernos informados, porque es cierto, no nos han preguntado del uso con tanto alto riesgo como es armas nucleares, y acá están construyendo submarinos aquí en Connecticut, en New London. El presupuesto incluye más submarinos de construcción en New London, que también pueden tener esas bombas nucleares de bajo potencia, pero alto riesgo. And so, thank you for bringing to light the fact that, no, we have not been asked, do we want the use of nuclear weapons? And in fact, the budget here in Connecticut might increase the construction of submarines that would have these low-grade nuclear bombs. And in fact, I believe that we as a society would say no, adamantly no, we don't want more. And thank you for sharing this important message today. And I hope people hear this and share this. And you're not alone. And I think we only have about 2 minutes left. How can people get involved? Is there a place to write a letter? Is there a place to call and say we are against the new submarines that are due to be built here in Connecticut?
Well, I would say one concrete way that all people in local communities could get involved is there's an international treaty now that has been ratified by over 100 nations in the world. It's called the ICAN Treaty, and it's for the ICAN, and it is a treaty that abolishes nuclear weapons. The United States, as you might imagine, has not signed this treaty, but it is a United Nations treaty. As I said, it's been signed by over 100, I believe it's 121 nations. I'm not sure of the number. But if you go online and Google that ICAN, I-C-A-N, I forget exactly what the letters mean, but it's about the abolishment of nuclear weapons, and it's a treaty, it's a legally enforced treaty that nations are jumping onto now, and the United States needs to sign it.
And this is an important message, considering that we're looking at presidential elections in 2020, and we have yet to ask our presidential candidates if they oppose or support the ICAN treaty.
Yes.
And that's fundamental question.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening. Gracias por escuchar. Y Mark nos avisa de un paso que podemos tomar es ponerle presión al gobierno de los Estados Unidos para que firme el trato que se llama ICAN. Y no sé muy bien la significancia de esas letras, pero se llama ICAN Treaty, el trato ICAN, que es para la eliminación del uso de armas nucleares. Ya firmaron un par de ciento pico países y falta los Estados Unidos. Y mientras estamos viendo qué candidato presidencial deseamos votar o apoyar a que nuestros seres queridos voten si uno no puede, ver también qué posición están tomando con el uso de armas nucleares. Es una pregunta fundamental y hay que saber las respuestas de nuestros candidatos presidenciales. Y con eso, gracias por escuchar Juntos Podemos, Together We Can, aquí donde celebramos co-creadores de un mundo más justo y más gentil. Y gracias, mi nombre es Caprice. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for listening to Together We Can, where we celebrate co-creators of a kinder and more just world. And Mark Corville, thank you for being with us today.
Gracias a ustedes.